Hello all, this is Al Finch. I have here before me The Last Lighthouse. It's a solo game produced by Button Shy. I have got a setup here for a normal game. What we have is the lighthouse on one end. It can take up to 6 damage before we lose the game. On the other, we have our deck of cards. The cards themselves represent two things. They can represent nightmares when they're placed in this position with the kind of beastie pictured on there. And if they're placed on the board in this position, they represent traps. The nightmares seeking to damage the lighthouse. If it takes me down to 0 out of 6 by the end of the game, I'm done, I lose. And if they don't, if we run out of cards in the deck and I'm still around at the end of the turn, then I win the game. The traps have various effects that can help get these nightmares off the board. Things have ranges in this game affecting a certain distance along the line. Nightmares can deal damage in the directions indicated to the left and right. This one can deal 1 to the left. This one could deal up to 3 spaces to the right. This trap is the same. It can deal 2 into the left, or it can deal damage to a nightmare 2 spaces to the right. The amount of damage a nightmare can take is indicated by the number of skulls. The amount of damage that a trap can take is indicated by the number of candlelight wicks here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play. We get to take 2 actions at the beginning of each turn. You can do it in any order, in any combination of either placing traps or defeating nightmares. Right now, I can defeat this nightmare. That would let that one, however, attack. It kind of behooves me to maybe place a trap here. All right. This one's not a bad one. So it says, when placed, I get to discard a nightmare and put this trap in that nightmare's position. So what I will do is place this one. This will automatically discard the nightmare. I'm going to place discarded cards up here. For my second action, I'm going to activate my traps. This one can do enough damage to that nightmare that it will take care of this nightmare as well. So that was a pretty good first turn. I managed to clear the board of nightmares. Now, we need to do our second step. We need to, I forgot, when I defeat a nightmare, it does go to my hand. So I managed to pick up the second one here. Discarded nightmares do not go to your hand. So this first one, I don't get to pick up. All right, so now I have an extra trap from the nightmare that I was able to pick up. All right, proceeding. We're going to add a nightmare from the deck. We'll shift all of these guys over to accommodate that. All right, this one says, when defeated, if within range 2 of the lighthouse, you take 2 damage. So we want to get this thing off the board here before it gets within range 2 of the lighthouse if we can. All right, now that the nightmare's been added, the nightmare's attack. It's going to attack the lighthouse if it can. It's too far away because it only has a range of 2. Then it starts attacking traps. It's going to do that from left to right until one attack succeeds. It can't get this one, but it can get this one. It's going to go ahead and deal 2 damage. That's enough to take this particular trap out. Actually, it doesn't deal 2 damage. It just strikes within a range of 2. In any case, now we have the next step, which is the tide changes. The leftmost card. If there's a nightmare here, it goes back of the line. If it's a trap, it gets discarded. So that is the problem. The nightmares continue to stay on the board at the end of the turn, but the traps are lost. All right, so now we're in this particular situation. It's within 2. I don't particularly like that. I'm going to look to place a trap that will push this back so that it won't deal damage to the lighthouse. I'm going to place this one. So this particular trap says, when placed, all nightmares get -1 health this turn. That's to a minimum of 1. So this one's a little weaker. That's good because this trap can't affect it now. It's out of range. It's this trap alone that can deal damage. If I activate it, though, that will be enough for me to get rid of this. It's not within range 2, fortunately. It's 3 away. So now this nightmare is gone. All right, we're going to now add a nightmare from the deck. This one says, when defeated, I rotate a trap into a nightmare. So when this one's lost, one of my traps turns into something, and that's unfortunate because I got a couple of nasty nightmares hanging out under my traps. Let's see if I've got anything that I can use to get rid of this guy. All right, so I have an interesting card here that says, when defeated, choose 1 nightmare in the sea. Add it to your hand as a trap. Then place a different trap from your hand in the position that the nightmare left. That could allow me to swap out something here. I'm not sure it's worth it, though. You know, this guy is actually a fairly weak-looking nightmare. So we'll play a little trick here. It says, when placed, choose another trap, move it to any other position in the sea, and it must change positions. All right, what would be useful for me is to move that here, I think. Now, what we can do is we can activate a trap. This one will hit here, this one can hit here, this one can hit here. That's enough to defeat this guy. It says when defeated, we'll get to rotate a trap into a nightmare. So this one goes to my hand, and I'm going to choose to rotate this dude into a nightmare. Now, because I didn't just place this, I don't have to place its, or do its when placed ability, which is add a nightmare from the deck. So fortunately now I get to avoid the effect of this particular trap, and it's a relatively weak trap. It can hit my lighthouse, but I think this is a decent trade-off. This one should be relatively easy for me to take out next turn, just using this trap right here. All right, we do have to add a new nightmare, however, just from the natural flow of the game. That one's pretty rough. This one says, when defeated, if this is the closest nightmare to the lighthouse, you take 2 damage. So I'm going to have to keep this one out of the game if I can. All right. Now the tide changes. We end up losing this trap. Everything's going to shift. Oh, I forgot the nightmare attack. Let's see. Yeah, the nightmare is going to be able to hit the lighthouse. It was within 3, so we're going to go down to 5. All right. Now we change. The leftmost card goes. We survey the sea. The lighthouse takes damage if the sea has 4+ nightmares. We still haven't gotten to that, so we're doing a fairly good job of keeping the board clear. All right, now it's my turn again. Take 2 actions. I could defeat that. Okay, I'm going to place a trap and then activate. So here's what's going to happen. All right, I'm going to activate this trap to defeat this nightmare. Let's set that to my hand. Then we'll move these guys over. He's too far away to hit the lighthouse, so that's good. Then we're going to place our nightmare, and then it's going to attack. So we're looking here to see if we can reach the lighthouse. Neither of these can. Then we look to see if the traps can be defeated. This one can reach that one, but it has 2, so it can't take it out on its own. This one and this one can reach that one, so this one gets taken out. This says, when defeated, choose a nightmare adjacent to the trap and discard it. So this one has a real nice effect. I've lost this trap, but we also get rid of this big beefy nightmare, and it says it's discard it. It's not defeating it, so we're not triggering the when defeated action here on this nightmare. So I don't have to have it deal damage to my lighthouse. It's not defeated though, so on the flip side, I don't get that nightmare in my hand as a trap. However, that was a pretty good turn again. All right, now we will use the tide. Tide is going to discard this card, so running low on traps, but we don't have too many nightmares, so that's good. And we survey the sea. The sea does not have 4 nightmares, so we're not going to take any additional damage. All right, my turn. All right, that one takes 2 in order to take it out, and it can strike at 3. It's going to be hard for me to do anything about this particular nightmare right now. So what I'm going to do is place a trap here. Actually, no, I'm going to place it here. That one has decent range going behind it. And that's what I'm kind of looking for, because there's nothing I can do about this guy. He's just going to damage the lighthouse. I need to try and buffer on this side a little bit. Hope that the nightmare I pull doesn't have a long range. And I'm going to place this one as well. He has decent range. I should be able to ding something that pops up behind us later. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We now add a nightmare. All right, he's too far away to affect the lighthouse. That's good. And then this guy attacks. He's going to deal a damage to the lighthouse because it's within range. So we're down to 4. Then the tide changes. We're going to shift this nightmare to the back. And then we survey. We do not have 4 nightmares. We're doing okay. All right, my turn again. If I can buffer this, I can regain some health if this one attacks there and defeats it. So I'm thinking about setting a trap over in here. And if I do this right, I'll be able to defeat this guy. Oh, you know what? That one said all nightmares got +1 range. Oof, I gotta watch my when placed triggers. That one do an additional damage. Yeah, it would have had 4. Oof, okay. Tricky. Okay. All right, so I'm down to 3. Let's see what happens now. Can I get rid of this beastie? Yeah, I think so. I can. Place this trap. And then activate it to get rid of this guy. Because I can strike within 2, strike within 1. It's gone. Okay, So we'll defeat that trap. That lets this guy move up. Then we will add a nightmare in. And all right, it's defeated and defeated, so no special effects. Now we look to see if the nightmares can hit the lighthouse. They can't. This one can reach this particular trap, however. When it reaches this trap, oh, this one can hit something that's 4 away. Yep, they'll both hit it. This one, it says, when it's defeated, I regain a health. So that was that strategic placement. So I'm up to 4 again. Now these guys shift, and then the tide changes. We're going to lose this particular trap. Now that leaves me a fairly precarious position here. Let's see if I can do anything about it. All right, this one's not bad. When placed, nightmares do not attack this turn. So this will keep me from taking a couple of damage. And it'll give me an opportunity to defeat this particular nightmare. And then I'm going to attack. This one will deal 1. This one will be able to deal 1. It says, when defeated, will return a trap from the sea to your hand. Now, this would normally be a negative, but it's going to help me because I'm going to push this guy up into my hand rather than lose him. And this nightmare is not going to attack, nor whatever else does. So that's pretty good for me this turn. So we'll bop this one up. When we defeat it, we'll return this one back to my hand, so I'll get to reuse it. This guy closes in. And then we add a nightmare. It says, when defeated, so there's no special effects from it. The nightmares aren't going to attack. Now we move this guy to the back. He's not going to be effective, all right, but he's got a lot of life. So if I can buffer it, I might be able to just have the nightmares attack him. I only have a single card in the deck left. So if I can survive just a couple of turns, I'm going to win. All right. Let's see what I can do to help buffer the board here a bit. All right. Yeah, this will help. All right. It says, when placed, you may discard a card from my hand. If I do, defeat a nightmare from the sea. I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to discard this one to defeat this trap. It says, if this nightmare is directly between 2 traps, nightmares attack an additional time. It's not. So I'm going to put this one into my hand. This guy's still going to be able to strike the lighthouse, but I think I may get it here. I'm going to place the second trap now that says, when placed, the tide will not change this round. So it is going to damage the lighthouse, but I'm not going to lose the traps, and this will help me buffer out whatever's in here. All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to play this nightmare. He's not within range of the lighthouse, but this one is. He's going to do the final strike against the lighthouse for 1 damage, which is just fine by me. The tide's not going to change because of that special effect. Oh, it says, when placed, if there are not 3 nightmares in a row, add an additional nightmare. There's none to add, so I'm safe. It's now end of turn. I have managed to survive. I've kept the lighthouse alive. I have won the game. Take that, weird, nightmarish tentacle beasts. I have defeated you. No, I said I've defeated you. Ah. All right, very good. So now you've now seen an example of how to play the Last Lighthouse. It's one of my favorite travel games. I can play it just about anywhere. It does get a little crowded on the board. I'm not sure I'd be able to pull this off on, say, an airplane tray, but for just about any basic table anywhere, it's a very nice game. The cards are high quality. I can shuffle these without worrying too much about damage. It's just overall, I think, a pretty good game. All right, well, folks, thank you for joining me for this particular run-through. Hopefully, you'll enjoy the next game with me. Hello all, this is Al Finch. I am back for part 2 of our horror double feature, this time with The Walking Dead, Surrounded, another button shy game. Now, this one is also solo, but also potentially cooperative. I'll be playing solo today. The initial setup on this one's rather simple. You shuffle the 18 cards that are in the deck, and you place the top card in the middle to form your beginning map. Now, we have a number of options. I'm not going to be playing scenario, I'll be playing a basic game today. What we are going to do is we are going to be placing more cards from the deck, connecting them in one way or the other to this initial part. And this is called number 8, the City Park. So this is a generic location with no special abilities. Once we've got this map placed, then we also need to spawn. Essentially, we have to place a zombie in connection to a newly placed portion of the map. So we'll go ahead and flip this over. You'll see that we have one zombie here, here in the top of the card, and it is going to go here. This indicates that there is a zombie in this location. Now, we're able now to choose whether or not we add more locations or occupy other parts of the map. If we place another location, we'll have to spawn another zombie connected to it. If we occupy, we'll have to choose where to place the card in connection to an already pre-existing location. Now, this one says here that it's the playground, and it says leaders lose their leadership here and become survivors. Leaders are characters that have this star symbol here. Zombies, of course, have the X, and then survivors have these kind of silhouette of a person's head and shoulders. Leaders will score you extra points, but they don't coexist peacefully. If you have 2 leaders in a spot, they end up taking them out at the end of the game. Zombies and humans also don't coexist. They will end up also eliminating each other if they're in the same location. Now, right now, the only thing that I have at a location is a zombie. I'm very tempted to occupy, but this card also has an additional ability. If I can get this card completely surrounded, then I can get an additional 3 points. It's a point-based game that we're playing. The higher the number of points you can score, and those are based on the number of survivors that you have and leaders, plus some of these special abilities, the better off you are at the end. I'm going to go ahead and place this one, and I'm going to set it next to this leader. Now, that might seem strange, but I want my leaders to not come into conflict if another one pops up. This gives me some options. So I'm playing it safe. I might be able to move this later. You might notice it says move here. This allows me to move occupants, but not locations. And it activates if I can get this guy next to a location. I might make use of it later. All right, since I've placed this here, I have to spawn a walker. All right, I have a choice. I have a double walker and I have a single walker. You would think I wouldn't pick this, but unfortunately, I can't place this here. I'm gonna shift this up so that I've got room to play. So now I have this card with 2 zombies now in this particular spot. It's not good, but I might be able to make use of this move factor here. But not yet. Because my next location has a zombie built into it, I have to go ahead and place it. So we'll place this one down. We have to place it in a legal fashion. If I place it here, I might be able to use his ability. I think I might do that. You might notice it says hideout -1 point if the location's overrun. If we end up having more zombies here later on, it's considered overrun. More zombies than people. One thing that I'm going to double check real quick in the rules is to see if I have to spawn if the zombie's built in. I don't see anything that contradicts that, so we are going to have to spawn here as well. Let's flip the next card. All right, I can put another zombie there or put him out here. I think I'm going to put him out here on the off chance that I might be able to do something with that. Now, I am going to shift some things around. Since this guy became adjacent here, I am going to activate his move ability. We're only allowed to do one ability per turn. And I think I'm going to shift this one. So now we don't have zombies in the location, and we've got, look, leaders that are going to play well together because they're not leaders anymore. All right, next I have a person here in the church. I'm inclined to occupy a space with this. All right, let's see. I like the idea of placing this here. So now, let's see, I have the look ability activated. That'll let me look at the top or bottom card or peek at the other side, essentially, of the top or bottom card of the deck and return it. I can't remember what's on the other side of this, so I'll reveal it. Okay. Yeah, it's got a leader and a couple of people. Let's see. I might end up stacking this over here. You know, all those leaders kind of going to waste, but on the other hand, they won't kill each other, which is good. All right. All right. So that's good. We have 2 people here and 2 zombies. If I can get a person here, we'll make sure this location is not overrun. Won't get any extra points off of that leader, unfortunately. Maybe I'll get another move ability if I'm lucky. All right. I believe I am going to go ahead and place this person. Do I want to place him down there? I think I probably do. So this, all right, will help ensure that I get that extra point from that machete and keeps this place from being overrun. All right, another location. I'm not sure I want to place a location. I want to think I'm going to keep occupying, even though that's a nice 2-pointer. Is there anything else that I can do? Yeah. Walkers there are doubled. I don't think I want to spawn that one. Ooh, and look at all of those walkers. I am going to place this here. Seems like a nice, safe move. And now we have to place this location. It's going to cause me to have to spawn. Oh, and that's a double. I don't really like that. I'm going to place this up here and hope for the best. All right. Now we spawn. Got to place it here, and this actually works out. I think this was really nice that all the leaders lose their leadership here, because they would have eliminated each other at the end of the game. If I can get another spot occupied, we'll be in good shape. All right. All right. Ooh. Well, we'll only lose 1 point here and gain 3, so I think this is worthwhile. All right. Hilltop. Interesting. I do think that I want to place a location. I'm going to probably need to move this, though. We'll see how it goes. All right, explore. We've got a built-in human here. Any human at the top edge of this location becomes a walker. If I'm lucky, and this may well end up running off screen, I'll have a walker that I can place here when I spawn. Let's see what happens. Nope, of course not. Well, we'll place the walker here. No. Oh, I can't put that there. Tisk. One of my only possible moves would have been to put it down here or over here. I would have put it here. And I still lose a human if I put it up there. It's just not looking good for me in this game, folks. All right. I have to place this one. It's -2 points if it's overrun. It feels likely that we're going to be overrun. Well, no, I can kind of compensate by putting it over here. And there'll be 3. No, not good. Here might be the way to go. Starting to run off the edge of the map. Yeah, as you can see, while it's a small game, the footprint of it is quite thing. So I'm gonna shift. Oh, I'm sure that's totally aesthetically pleasing. And we have to spawn. At least I can spawn in such a way that we don't double our zombies. And we're coming up on our last cards. I really do need to occupy some stuff here. I believe when we get to the end, we have to occupy when there's only 1 card left in the deck. So that might help me finish some things up. So let's occupy. Place this here. And then we have to occupy with the final card. Is there any place that I can use this to my advantage? It looks like I'm going to need to go out here. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. Are we fully on screen? We're pretty close. All right. Well, folks, now that we've placed all of our cards, and boy, this is an ugly looking map, now we can figure out what our score is. So let me adjust this down just a little bit. Maybe widen my view. There we go. Now we can get some scoring done. Okay. I have my handy-dandy bucket of tiddlywinks. So I'm going to use these to eliminate characters from the board. So the way this works is for every zombie in a location, we have to eliminate 1 person there. And if we have any leaders that happen to be in the same location, they eliminate each other as well. So let's take a look here at our various locations. All right, I have 2 zombies here, and I have 2 survivors. So we're missing these guys. I basically eliminate one another. I'm not scoring there. All right. At this location, we have 3 survivors and 1 zombie. So we'll eliminate one of the zombies here and eliminate a survivor here. I'm actually going to score a couple points off of that space. At this location, we have 3 survivors and 1 zombie. All right. At this location, we have 2 zombies, 2 survivors. It's surrounded. Oh, you know what? I actually had 3 people. There was a leader. He's not going to get me any extra points, but at least he lived. This location, we have another 2 and 2 situation. So that's no bueno. All right. Here, we also eliminate all survivors and all zombies. So let's see. Have I got any points from this game? Not many, but a few. If you take a look, we've surrounded this box, okay? Even though one of them was a zombie, it's still completely occupied. So that's going to give me a point total of 3. We've surrounded this box as well, so that gives me a point total of 4. We don't get any other bonuses, as I can tell from looking at the rest of the board. Now we look to see if there are any people still alive. So I'm currently sitting at 4, 5, 6 in this location, 7, 8 from that location. And that looks to be about it. Not a very high scoring game at all. They do have a chart in the back of the book. We can look to see what your score might be. I suspect it's rather low. 0 to 10. This is just the beginning of the end. So it's the lowest possible scoring rank. As you can tell, I'm still learning to play the game and not particularly good at it. But this does demonstrate how the game is played. All right. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this double feature. Hope you enjoy seeing how these games were played. Now, hopefully, we'll just survive until Halloween and not have too many zombies attack us in the meantime. Uh-oh, there's an extra zombie, and there's only 1 survivor in this room. I guess we're going to end up eliminating each other. Bye, folks.